2, 1, and welcome back to the second episode of the Turn-Based Critics. Cynics? Critics? Doesn't make a difference. It's all the same. It's all the same. I'm cynical, critical, doesn't make a difference. It's all the same to me.
Cynically critical.
Yeah, right. Exactly. This is going to be, I think, an interesting episode. I'm looking forward to it this week. This is going to be something special, I think. CD, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't gotten a lot done this week. This has not been a great week for me. This hasn't been a great week for me. And I'll get into why later, because it involves a purchase I made that screwed me over greatly on some progress on a video game. And we're going to get into that. But
okay,
I'm going to say this week has not been great. It's been a very difficult week. For reasons beyond just me being me, which is like 90% of why anything is difficult. I haven't made much progress in anything, but I also had like 5 of each game already recorded, like pre-recorded already. So I took like way more time off than I should have, and then I was like, you know what, it's fine. I don't have to actually create anything for a while. So
seems like a decent buffer.
Yeah, it's a buffer. That's for damn. That's for damn sure. I did some cleaning up, fixed some minor technical problems across my entire setup that I kept on putting off. You know how it is when it's like, it's not a problem, it's fine, it's not the way it probably should work, but I could deal with it later. And then you never deal with it later because you just don't want to. Yeah, my life in a nutshell.
As long as it's minor, yeah, it happens.
It always starts minor. That's the problem. It starts minor, and then by the time I deal with it, it's become an actual problem. It's officially a problem. I now have to deal with this. You know, I'll get into a little bit. So, for those of you that don't know, I got a PS5 finally, or as I like to say, my ad hoc PS4 console. The stand-in PS4 console. And I made a mistake. So I was like, I packed up my PS4 to go trade it in the same day I got my PS5. But I was under the impression that PS Plus had been backing up my saves for Persona 5. It had been backing up my saves, but it hadn't backed up my save in almost 2 weeks.
Whoops.
So I was 2 weeks behind on that that save file. That is uncool, sir. So I sit down. I was going to check out, make sure my saves were all there. I downloaded my save file. I got everything set up. Open up Persona 5, go to load game, and I realized, oh no. I'm going to really...
that area, oh wait.
Oh no. That's a solid 4 hours of effort I'm going to have to put into this again. So the last 2 days has been just me just grinding that bitch out, getting it done. I'm finally caught up. And I'm like, damn, I'm going to have to go through all this shit again now. Shit. First thing I did was I was like, damn, I'm going to have to make sure PS Plus uploads my saves more often. And I thought PS Plus had me covered. Turns out you have to tell it to do that. That's on me. I fucked up. What can I say? I fucked up.
Whoops.
Yeah, so that was cool. That was nice. I dug that. That was a great experience.
Great use of your time.
Just losing hours of save progress I now have to redo. And with the way I'm doing Persona 5, I have to use a literal schedule for how you do things every single day, because Persona 5 at 100%, you kind of do have to follow a schedule, because if you don't, you're not gonna 100% it. You're just not. It's a time management video game, and unfortunately, time management is not my strong suit. So I'm going through this guide, and I'm like, why is it having me do this wacky shit? Like, I had to go here, buy these items, go talk to this dude, do this, end the day, but don't end the day unless I've accomplished this by the end of it. I have to reload my save if I don't get a certain thing to happen during an event that's like RNG. Yeah, it's... Yeah, it's a lot.
RNG as well in there. That's nice.
Yeah, I love the RNG that's having me go for is there's this teacher that likes to take advantage if he doesn't think you're paying attention, so he'll throw a piece of chalk at you. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's not paying attention. Thwap. So the thing is, if you dodge it, if your character dodges it, you get like bonus points to a social stat. But you have like a 30% chance to dodge or something. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
And you need that for something, either for the 100% completion in general, or for some check. Later on.
For a check, it gives you it nets you a +3 to your charm, and you need like every point you can get throughout your schedule. So it's one of those things where you can't really not get it. You might think, oh, it's only a +3. That throws off like everything if you don't do it. So, you know.
Yes, min-maxing.
Video games. That's what I play for. And then, like, I made the mistake of, like, looking up how long to beat for, like, Persona 5, right? I shouldn't have. Ever since I found this site, it has been...
Yeah.
It has been a miserable...
blessing and a curse.
It's been a miserable thing to be cursed with knowledge. So I was like, you know what? I'm doing this. I'm already here.
It's just a few hours, right? Oh.
It's like, I'm already here. I'm already doing this. I'm like, all right, what am I in for here? Like, how bad is this going to possibly be? And I'm like, you know what? Let's say, like, main story plus extras, right? Like, assuming I don't completely pull this off and I bitch out at the end. 127 hours.
What's the difference to just main story?
To just main story, about 22 hours.
Oh, okay.
About 22 hours.
It's still pretty high then.
Yeah. Completionist is 146 hours. Damn. I'm not... I knew what I was signing up for.
It starts off at a rather high level already. A bit higher than I would have maybe expected, but with this Persona game, it doesn't surprise me too much.
Yeah, considering the fact like the first like 4 hours is just dialogue.
I mean, so pretty much no change between Persona 4 and that then.
Yeah, no, there's no change. Persona 3 is the same way. Like, first like 5 hours is the game hand-holding you through the story.
Introduction and tutorial and all that.
Takes like 5 hours for the game. Is like, all right, go play the video game now. Leave us alone. It's like, oh, cool. I get to finally play the game. Fantastic. I love it. It's like, I love the game. Like, it's a fantastic game. It's just, you know, I can't let that. It's hard for me to just let that go when the game is like, have fun for the next like 5 hours. I don't know, man. I like Persona 5, no matter what I say. It's just one of those games I go into and I'm just like, damn, how much time am I gonna have to spend on this shit? Damn. Well, commitment, man. Commitment. That's what I do. I'm gonna finish it one way or another. It might kill me in the process, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. I signed up for this. This is my fault. How about you, buddy? What's been keeping you busy?
Well,
in the language
work.
like you know, I think that's
I did get a bit of gaming in, but not as much this week.
Oh, one of those weeks. Got it.
Yeah, work was quite a bit this week.
Damn.
But it happens at times. But it's gonna be better next week. But let me think. One was what I showed you in chat. I started Dragon Quest XI S on the Steam Deck, and I mean, obviously works fine.
Yeah, obviously. I'd be surprised if it didn't.
Yeah. And I've played a few hours, not as much. So what happened so far is obviously you turn out to be a hero, you go to the king, you get thrown into the brig, like you do.
Yeah, like every protagonist, you know.
Yeah, get accused of being the spawn of evil or whatever. Yeah.
Meet one of the greatest sidekicks in all of video game history. Gonna stand by it. I think Eric is the dude. Like, Eric is such a great character. This dude.
It's a nice introduction.
This dude meets you and he's like, "Yo, you're in a lot of trouble, dude." And he's like, he's like, "Yo, you down to jump off a cliff?"
I mean, what else what you gonna do is stand against the guards and get slaughtered? I don't think so. Better get it over quick than that.
It's like, hey, buddy, you down? He's like, you know what, dude? I like you. You're down to jump off a cliff. I'm a fuck with you, dude. Let's rock. I love it.
Yeah, that part already shows you there's a bit more to this whole thing, because, I mean, arriving down there without a scratch, I wonder what could have caused that.
Yeah, it's not a foreshadowing.
That's such a coinky-dink there.
I don't want to spoil it, but I was kind of upset because there's some that dragon doesn't pop up again. I was hoping he was gonna pop up again. He doesn't pop up again. I was so sure because I'm like, yo, I'm gonna end up going back down here and have to fight this fucking thing, aren't I? Like, this is gonna come back and bite me in the ass, and he never does. I was so upset. I was like, damn,
it's a shame.
I'm like, damn, I was looking forward to that shit too. I'm like, you know what?
Would have been a nice bit of payback there, but
it is.
There's already enough shit going down with the game.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
One? That one doesn't make much of a difference. Then let me think. Yeah, so now I'm about to go back to Cobblestone, and I'm sure everything's gonna be fine there.
It's gonna be fine. Everyone's gonna be happy to see you. Your meeting with the king went
No
well.
issue.
There's nothing. What else could possibly?
No problems.
Right, King took it. I mean, yeah, the king overreacted a little bit, but you know what? I'm sure he took that whole you escaping prison thing really well.
I'm sure.
Handled it like a well-adjusted, well-mannered adult. There was no not like he would, murder kill an entire town just to spite you. That would be ridiculous. Why would he ever do that? That's absurd. I can't imagine.
Nothing in that meeting gave you that idea.
Yeah, no.
That would happen.
No, not at all.
No.
Nope.
I'm sure they're gonna get some gold as thanks and a pat on the back.
Yeah.
That's...
Okay, now you're pushing into the realm of fantasy.
Now
you've pushed firmly into the realm of absolute fantasy, sir. Don't. Who are you fooling? Good lord.
Well, I mean, one of the generals was fooled enough for a long enough time.
Yeah, that plot line. He really did. Like, he really pulled one over on like everybody. Like, this homeboy was playing the long game. I'm talking like the long game. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Homeboy was like, I'm gonna sit in the cut. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna play my position, and when they least expect it, I'm backstabbing every single one of you motherfuckers. Y'all getting this dagger right in the back. I love it. So wait, hold up. So with the S version, like they really just like direct ported the Switch version, right? Like they didn't really do. It doesn't like. It looks conceivably worse. Does it look worse than you remember, like the original game?
I haven't compared it on the big screen, just on and on the deck. And on the deck, it looks fine. Obviously, with the small screen, there's not much difference.
Because that was a big issue when that one dropped for like PC.
Hard. From what I remember, seeing comparisons, there is a noticeable downgrade, although it still looked good from what I remember.
Yeah,
and on the small screen, especially, looks perfectly fine.
I played it on handheld, and I also played it on TV. I didn't really feel like the game took like a big hit. I mean,
I'd say it's probably mainly if you compare it side by side with the textures, and then you'd probably see it. But that's the I guess the advantage of the art style, that it's not gonna make that big a difference usually.
Can I just say there's one thing the problem I do have with DQ11, and that is not enough variety in the music. There's a decent amount of tracks in it, but you do feel like by like the middle of the game you've heard like every single song. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
you know,
Although I'd say with long games that's gonna be an issue most of the time.
yeah, but I would expect at some point they would have. I mean, I think they do throw out like one very unique song towards the end for like the final boss, but you expect that? Like you expect the final boss to have his own theme music, right?
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I did feel like
Definitely.
towards like the middle.
Yeah, maybe doing 1 or 2 different battle themes or something like that.
Yeah, I did
Because
kind of.
you're a lot in battle.
Yeah,
So
I did
obviously
kind
you're
of.
gonna hear that track a lot.
Yeah, I did kind of feel like by like the halfway to like 2/3 mark, I was like, all right, this is starting to get a little.
Yeah, understandable, definitely. Yeah.
It didn't detract, but I was still like, I feel like I'm treading some audio ground I've tread quite a few times already. Although I will say, I still think I don't know if I'm not 100% sure if I think the arranged tracks are like instantly better. Cuz I think the MIDI tracks they use, the MIDI tracks do
They
have
were
some
still
charm.
good, I think. Yeah. I did still like them in the regular version, the music. I didn't have a problem with it. But this sounds good too. So I'd have to listen to them side by side or back to back to compare, but yeah, both have their advantage and disadvantage, I'd say.
Yeah, I never really picked. I own the PS4 version, but I had never really picked it up. But then by the time I was going to play the game, I had already bought the Switch version, so I'm like, I might as well play the better version. So here we are.
And besides that, I mainly played a bit more of Diablo 3 in the current season. And let me think what else. I think that was pretty much it this week. Yeah, I watched the introduction to the coming Path of Exile season.
Ooh, nice.
On Thursday, I think it was. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Gonna be a decent update again, and they are gonna be adding controller support with that one. As in, the controller support is gonna be out of beta, and as it would happen, they did show an image of the deck running the new interface, the adapted interface with the control scheme in their introduction video.
Oh, nice.
Which, yeah, makes sense.
I mean, I kind of feel like if you're gonna, wouldn't you imagine that like controller support kind of goes hand in hand with the deck to begin with, right? Like,
well,
because yeah, right? Like, because what is the deck but a giant controller that happens to have a screen on it? Like, functionally speaking, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It'd be hard for me to fathom, like, we don't have controller support, but you can play our game on the Steam. What? How does that even... I mean,
I think it's more of a reverse thing. Like, they were doing the console version anyway, and then they added the controller support to the PC as well.
Right.
The deck might have played a part in that, as Valve probably supplied them with an early version. So that's obviously gonna be a part of their advertisement.
You know, I haven't done this yet.
And it makes sense.
I haven't done this on this show yet. I want to look up and see what the Steam Deck is going for on eBay. Because I know I haven't done this because it just kind of came out and I've seen
a few high prices for it.
Oh, okay.
In the past, I'm not sure if it's still like that, but it's probably gonna be like that for a while now until they have it in straight wide availability.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna have some high prices there.
Minimum 900. If you want it like brand spank. Wow. Okay. Cool. All right. Well,
which version is that?
A lot of them are like the 64 gig.
Okay, so the 400 something one. Yeah. Okay. So about double the price.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Why would I possibly be
Hmm.
surprised by such things? I don't know why I do this to myself. All right. So, I have this down as my section, as a small portion of the section of the show where I get to talk
Yeah.
about my 2 new acquisitions. I guess I'll talk about
Yeah, just a short note, since we're in video related stuff, on what we've done, video games related. I mean, I did post this on Twitter yesterday. I watched the Sonic 2 movie,
Oh, yeah.
and that was fun.
That was good?
I don't know how they do it, but yeah. And it's better than the first one, in my opinion, even. And the
Damn.
first one was already enjoyable.
So
And
do you think Jim Carrey's going to come back for the third?
I think I've read something about he's not sure about that, but I would. I mean, if he would come back for anything, it's for 3 after this, because he had a fun time. You notice that. He had a lot of fun.
You can definitely tell he has a lot of fun with these movies. He eats the scenery, and it's fucking fantastic.
He does great, and goddamn, the game has a lot of lore and references and all perfectly accurate. They did their homework.
Damn.
I think after the backlash of the first one, they said, "Nope, that's not gonna happen again."
These
with that first design.
They really took the bashing of that first design and was like, yo, we better be on point with everything with this motherfucking movie. We can't afford to be wrong.
Yeah. Pretty much that. And goddamn, they did well with that.
Good. Hell yeah.
And there's a cliffhanger to the next one as well, which they already confirmed is in production.
I did see.
Definitely looking much forward to that a lot.
I did see that, though. I know what you're referring to for the third movie, which I was like, yeah, I should have saw this coming. Yeah, that makes sense. But bro, can we we live in a timeline where Idris Elba is voicing fucking Knuckles.
Yeah. And
that's the
that version is great. And they get in that reference very early on.
Oh.
With Knuckles.
Oh.
I think you know which reference I mean. With Knuckles.
Oh, he doesn't chuckle? Does he not chuckle? Is that the reference? Because if it is, that's fantastic. No, is it Pumpkin Hill?
The other one. The other one. The Way.
Oh, wait, what? They really did, huh? Okay.
Yeah, they put, and the thing is, the way that dialogue went, it could have been it could have been just perfectly natural writing. I can't swear on if it was the reference but on purpose, but I mean, it's there.
Yeah, here we are. That's exactly what we got. Damn, that's fantastic.
And yeah, if you want to know what kind of references there are, there's a page on TV Tropes that is quite long.
I'll make sure I include.
There is a lot of references.
Go on and throw that in the Discord. I'll include that. I'll include that on the show notes, if you don't mind.
Definitely gonna do that.
All right, I want to talk about this boy real quick. Before I get over to the PS5, which is an entirely different conversation I need to have. That's this. The Switch. Yeah. The Switch OLED. Yo, so I've talked about OLED screens. How console OLEDs, handheld OLED screens look fantastic. Bro, when I pulled this thing out, first thing I said to myself was, damn, this thing is heavy. Cause it's a fairly it's fairly weighty. This is definitely weighty. 2, and this I don't know why I was surprised by this, bro. Glass screen.
Yeah.
That instantly, as soon as I noticed that, I'm like, oh, this is we're almost premium level game console right now, Nintendo. Damn. And I will say, I really do like the screen on this. This thing is,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
OLED screens are.
Yeah, it doesn't quite get. I think it gets fairly bright.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna be able to really. It gets pretty bright. It's like I said, they basically push the bezels all the way out. Like the bezels on this thing are basically non-existent, really, aside from like here where the control.
It's still to the sides. It's still there. It's
Where the
noticeable, and
yeah.
there's not that much on the top and bottom. Yeah,
right where the Joy-Cons attach. But damn, damn, I was happy with this. This is. I might actually like take this with me once in a while now, because I didn't really like the original. The original one didn't really. I felt like I was getting the same experience with my Lite with the original, so I was like, I'll just take the smaller one. This one I might actually consider. I actually bought a grip for it, the Satisfy grip. So I'm gonna give that a try and see how I feel about that. The big thing though, and the thing I kind of. After like 2 years, I finally got a PS5, and I'm gonna be really honest with you. It's kind of impressive. It's kind of impressive. The first thing I did was I got it out the box and I swapped the faceplates on it.
Yep.
The half that doesn't have the disk drive is really easy to get off, right? Like that one was fairly easy. That one came right off. The one with the disk drive though, bitch, that was ridiculously difficult. You have to use a decent amount of force to get that one off. It's supposed to be you lift up and you're supposed to slide it towards you. That bitch did not want to come off. That took a considerable amount of effort.
As long as it doesn't snap.
Yeah, I'm like you don't want to like be forceful with your electronics, right? But at the same time, it's like I'm like it's not coming. I finally got the damn thing. I thought I was gonna break the damn thing. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was not an easy adventure to get that damn thing off. It looks great now that I got it off, but that's not the point. The point is, it's a good thing they make these things out of such sturdy ass plastic. Because if anything less than that, I feel like someone could easily snap that bitch in half when they pull it off. I don't feel like it would take that much effort. Like, I'm not
probably even with this one, if you're not careful, you just go at it.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, like or you get the pegs stuck in the holes on the actual internal part of the actual console, because basically the inside of the plastic plate, it has like pegs that like supposed to slide in, and they lock in. So that's why you push. That's why you put it down and you push forward. And it locks in. I can definitely see someone like trying to get this damn thing off, and like those pegs just being jammed.
And then the pegs just.
Yeah, the pegs just being jammed the fuck in there. That would not surprise me. Like,
yeah,
a little uncomfortable to mess with, but fine.
Yeah.
Next thing, the new interface on this console is, I will give Sony credit. Ever since the cross-media bar on PS3, they have successfully managed to maintain something similar every iteration. You look at the PS3 cross-media bar in the PS4, it was different, but it still had a lot of that same general DNA. And this one, it's good. They've changed the way the console works a little bit. So whenever if you're in game, right? If you press the PS button, you just press it, it brings up a quick menu on the bottom of the screen. It pauses the game and brings up like a quick menu bar, right? But you're not on the dashboard. It just brings up a quick bar. If you press and hold, it brings you back to the dashboard. That takes a little of adjusting to get used to.
So it is essentially exactly the other way around to the PS4. Because when you press along, that brings up the quick menu to the side.
Yeah, it's reversed.
And the simple press does the whole home, return to home.
Yeah, it's reversed. It's cool. I don't know, man. I
think it makes more sense this way around, since if you don't accidentally press it, you just don't go out of the game completely. You just pause it and have the quick menu.
Yeah, and the
I
quick
think it makes more
menu,
sense this way around.
the quick menu brings up stuff about trophies. It gives you like an access bar
Mm-hmm.
full of stuff that you can actually like rearrange. So you can rearrange
Mm-hmm.
what order those buttons, those separate things are, which is also
Mm-hmm.
pretty pretty nice. I dig it. It's definitely really a really interesting way to handle that. One thing though that I have seen and noticed more and more is load times on this thing are actually across the board. It's
Mm-hmm.
noticeable. You know, I've made the joke about like Yakuza like a dragon on that one video where the tooltips come up and the tooltips are instantly gone. I made that joke,
Mm-hmm.
but I was doing money grinding, and the way you do it is you
Mm-hmm.
clear the room, you go back, you save it, and then you load the save, and that respawns the
Mm-hmm.
room. So I would do
Mm-hmm.
that. The screen would go black as it's going from goes to load to open into the game again, and it was like a
Mm-hmm.
second, maybe like 2 seconds,
Yeah.
like no time at
Mm.
all. I was like, damn, this is way more efficient.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, it's no surprise given how they set up the SSD in that one.
Um, I also tried Spider-Man Remastered for PS5
Mm-hmm.
because I was a simp and bought the more expensive one. Because apparently Sony
Mm-hmm.
decided not to have that just available to be purchased
Yeah.
normally. Sony,
Yeah, that's a
gonna
bit weird.
gonna be honest. I don't see why you do you not want my money. Is that what this is? You made me pay like 80 for Miles Morales to get access to this shit. You're not gonna like just make that shit available? And like, fine,
Yeah, it's
Sony.
a bit of a weird decision.
Fine, Sony. You're like, oh well, you can still play your PS4 copy. It doesn't make it. Oh, no one. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I could, but that's not
Mm-hmm.
what I wanted. I wanted the more tailored version for this because you clearly put time and effort into this, and it fucking
Yeah.
shows. it definitely shows. So,
Even though Peter Parker's new face, well, yeah,
bro,
that's
why does this
mm.
yo, bro, why does this grown ass man look like he's fresh out of high school? This grown ass Spider-Man looking like he is fresh out of high school. Bro, why'd you have to do my boy like that? Bro, like, for real though. Like, Miles Morales looks older than this kid. Like,
That's an accomplishment.
yeah, like Miles Morales looks like a full grown ass adult compared to Peter Parker now. Full grown ass
Miles is about the age he is in Spider-Verse, I'm guessing.
he's like high school, isn't he? He's not.
Mm-hmm.
He's a high school student in Spider Verse. He's not.
Mm-hmm.
He shouldn't be the same age as fucking Peter Parker. That
Yeah, I mean, Miles Morales in game and in Spider-Verse, are they similar? I don't know how
uh
he is in the game.
semi. See, they're kind of similar. They both take
Alright,
their
yeah.
liberties with they take some liberties with the characters
Mm-hmm.
in both respects. But by the end of the day, they're still they hit the same beats. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they
Yeah.
got my boy Peter looking like a child. They got Miles Morales looking like a whole ass grown ass man.
Mm-hmm.
Not the
Yeah.
I don't know why they chose to do that. But we've seen that a lot with games these days though. Where like they do weird shit with their faces. Do
Mm-hmm.
you remember that controversy when they one of the Tomb Raider games and they like changed the way Laura's face kind of was. She had more of a chubby face between versions.
Huh.
Do you remember that? I remember that. It was like between versions
Think
for like Laura
I'm not
Croft.
sure which game though, but I think there was something there. Yeah, don't quite remember the specifics, but yeah, was that one of the reboots, right?
Yes, it was.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Was it in the was
it
it the
was.
first
It was.
reboot one,
It
or-
was between the 360 and the Xbox One. The people noticed that the way her face looked
okay.
was
Mhm, I
like
see.
dramatically different. Like
Mm.
way different. Like you could definitely tell
Uh-huh.
they messed with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, things like that don't always go well. just as well like things with the Batman Arkham games when they remastered them and they changed all the lighting and the
Yeah,
models aren't
yeah.
always better or don't always seem to be better. So that's a little weird as well there.
Yeah. But you wouldn't initially think that like lighting would
Mm-hmm.
like dramatically affect a game until you look.
Oh, it
Yeah,
does.
until you see it and then you're like, this does not look
Uh-huh.
right at all. This looks very
Yeah.
wrong. This makes me
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable to look at.
Yeah, I've just seen recent comparisons with Overwatch 2 where they completely have made maps have new lighting and goddamn. In one map, for example, the original had nighttime, and in the other one, it seems like it's late in the afternoon, I guess, something like that.
I think
But
yeah, I've seen that. It
yeah,
doesn't
totally different.
look right.
Doesn't really look
I
all that
don't.
great.
Do you think that maybe it's just like a shading thing?
A lot of
Like
it. A lot of it, yeah.
it's like they have
But sometimes
access
you have to do more.
to newer technology, so they're like, well, let's use this, and then like the final result doesn't quite look the same, even though it probably should.
I don't think it's just. I think it's using new technology or something, and then coming to a different result by altering stuff. Because just using a new version of the shading or something like that, I don't think it's just that. I think it's also they have to fuck with it to to an extent, especially with Overwatch 2. That difference doesn't come up with just updating the shaders.
Yeah, you wouldn't get
That's
there
much more.
with just
Mm.
that. I don't think.
Yeah.
Couple of things I want to get onto before we jump over to like the one of the other subject we're gonna do for
Hmm.
the show. Boy, they got shit layered in this console, man. Like settings wise, it doesn't always like
Uh-huh.
make sense to me. So like if you
Uh-huh.
want to like mess with your saves, right? You got to
Uh-huh.
go through like the save management, but then it has a save manager for both PS4 saves and PS5 saves separately. Each one is their own separate
Uh-huh.
option. And I mean,
Hmm.
I guess that makes sense. I don't really feel like you need to separate them like that because I feel
Do
like
you have different options with them or
yeah, they're both separate
okay?
headings. So like if you want to do
Mm-hmm.
PS5 saves, you got to select the option to mess with PS5 saves, or if you want to mess with
Mm-hmm. I mean, do you
PS4 saves.
inside those option inside that category? Do you have different options for the PS4
Yeah,
saves and for the PS5 saves?
yeah,
So you can do different stuff with each.
yeah.
Okay, interesting. What can you do with the PS5 saves that you can't do with the PS4 ones, for example? You
Mm.
have something?
Oh, you mean like different things
Mm-hmm.
amongst the two? No, I don't think there's anything
Yeah.
that's like uniquely different between. I think they're both the same thing. They just
Okay.
have them separated.
Yeah, then it doesn't make sense, really.
Yeah, they're just separated. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to go through like a different option to mess with your
Mm-hmm.
PS4 saves versus your
Yeah.
PS5 saves, which
Okay,
I'm
so
not.
it's essentially the just you can copy and or do or delete or modify your PS4 saves in this list, and then you have a separate list for the PS5
Yeah.
save with exactly the same options. Essentially, with
Yeah,
yeah, that's weird.
I don't see why. I mean,
Yeah, no.
because like even if cuz I don't know, like if I need to try that. If I upgrade my
Mm-hmm.
PS4 copy to if I upgrade a PS4 copy via disc to a PS5,
Then you have
does
probably
that
two
save
different entries.
would that save count as a PS5 game or a PS4 game? I need to try that.
That probably depends on which game you use. If you use the PS4 copy, probably get a PS4 save, and if you use the PS5 one, you get a PS5 save. That would be my guess. You'd have, yeah, you'd probably have to transfer the PS4 saves to a PS5 save if you want to use them.
I'll have to try that out with Final Fantasy
Because I
VII
think I
remake.
remember Yeah, because I think I remember something about that with one other title. I don't know, I don't remember which one, but they did have something like that you have to mess with the saves to move them to a PS5 version.
Yeah, But like,
that's very much likely why they have the different lists, the PS4 list and the PS5, so you don't get confused with the two versions of the same game.
as
Yeah, that would make sense.
as a minor gripe, this is super
Mm-hmm.
minor. Understand, super minor.
Mm-hmm.
Can we stop defaulting to assuming I want HDR on at all times? Can we please like stop? Like, I don't mind HDR, but with the way I have things set up, I do not need you just assuming, console, that I want HDR on at all times.
Right, because your recording equipment doesn't like that.
No, it does
Or
not like that.
I mean,
OBS doesn't matter. It doesn't like that. It doesn't. It fucks
Mhm.
everything up when it does that, and it throws everything out of whack. But the
Makes
console
sense.
assumes outright.
Yeah, there would be it would be good to have a global option for that, like default HDR on or off.
No, you
And then
can.
just
You
go
just
with that.
you have
okay.
to. You can, but like I said, the console, as soon as you start, just it instantly blows my eyes out at full brightness with HDR, which looks incredible on an OLED screen. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, then I gotta go through the settings again, and then it's like, are you sure you want to do this? You have the best settings.
Do you have to do that per game, or is that just one option and then it's off permanently?
Oh, no, it's off. It's just off. It's off for everything.
Okay, that's good then. Okay, good. Because that makes sense then. Yeah, I think it makes sense for them to have it on as default because they really want that out in the open, essentially. Because if they don't have it on, then no one will turn it on.
Yeah.
Because no one really cares about HDR in terms of actually going in and doing it, because I don't think the regular user knows about it, or at least doesn't really have the knowledge about it.
I think it's
They hear it in the marketing, but I don't think they would think about activating it in the console.
Yeah, you're right. You're probably right. I wouldn't put it by him. Honestly, it makes a lot of sense. And not to mention, I would like to see like statistics on like how many people with these consoles can actually even utilize it.
Yeah, probably not that many.
Like
probably.
Like 4K is a lot cheaper than it was like 5, 6, even 7 years ago.
Real HDR, probably not that not that widely spread.
Especially if you have.
You might have many TVs that have the HDR logo or something that, but since there are different types of HDR or different classifications, many probably just have the cheap HDR, which isn't really really a big difference to regular.
HDR 400, sir. The bare minimum PC HDR. If you've ever... Listen, folks, if you ever buy a monitor for your PC and you care about HDR and it says HDR 400, skip that shit. Don't even spend a little more. Get like HDR 600 or HDR 1000. Do not get HDR 400. You might as well just be burning your money.
Might just go straight for the HDR 1000.
Yeah, spend a little.
Makes the most sense, probably.
But
yeah, obviously. I mean, HDR obviously costs significantly more because it's not that widespread.
Gonna go and just tell people that if you're buying a PS5, understand you're only getting around 600 gigabytes of actual usable space. It's like 600. Yeah. Keep that in mind, ladies and gents. You're not getting 800 gigabytes or even 700. You're getting like 600-ish usage. And a lot of the games I have now, they're taking like, I think Demon Souls takes up like probably. 80. Yeah, 80 to 100. Like, I could imagine especially if you're playing something like Warzone or something. Yeah, good fucking luck, buddy.
You just have that SSD for that game and that's it.
This is my Warzone machine.
Just if you can afford it, just buy an additional M2 SSD that's compatible and plug that in.
That's what I'm planning on doing this Tuesday, actually.
Hey,
All right. So, we Square's been in the news a lot.
Oh yes.
For a variety of reasons.
Especially recently.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons. And gonna be honest with you, I didn't really want to cover some of their stupidity because it's not really like I don't care. Like, there's a bigger conversation to be had about acquisitions, but that's not today's episode. Like, we will have that conversation. That conversation will happen, but that's not for today.
Yeah.
We wanted to go back and look at games that we've experienced from Square's library from past.
From the really early times.
Yeah, really
especially.
early, or as early as we might have been able to experience them. You know, not all of us are willing to go backwards in our gaming lifespan. Some of us tend to only go forward. It happens. So I'll start because I picked one. So I've made this very clear. I did not grow up with a SNES. Did not have one. That was not a thing. So any SNES games I show for this, understand these were games I got to experience later in my life. But there's like one SNES game in particular that I can't get over no matter how much I try. That is still Chrono Trigger.
Ah, yes.
I love this fucking game, man.
The classic.
I love this fucking game. I don't... I will say it gets a little long in the tooth towards the end of the game, especially with all the side quests and weird shit they have you do, especially if you want to get to, like, certain special endings. But man, Chrono Trigger is still such a classic for me. This is one of the handful of Square games that I can just pop in my console, do a playthrough of, and be like, you know what, that was fun. I had a good time. That was great. And the great thing about it is, like, every character's good. Every character. There's no bad character. They're all good. I mean, you could get into, like, tier lists about which characters are most optimal. I've seen those lists, thank you very much.
Obviously that's gonna be that with every RPG.
You know, you could get into those tier lists if you really want to, but screw you. They're all good. Every character is good. Every character is worth using. You
just take the ones that you like the most. Yeah, essentially,
or the ones you don't usually get to try that often, or ones you just don't usually use. So, this is the first of the many games I have on my table with me today. But yeah, Chrono Trigger, first game I bought for my SNES. This is a classic.
Yeah, I can add to that I also didn't originally play it on the SNES. I did play it later on, and then on the DS for a bit. And when they released it on Steam, obviously I directly bought it. And then almost refunded it immediately. I think I might have refunded it. I'm not quite sure, because with that release date, oh boy, that was a thing. With that remastered graphics, which was essentially just one of the bad filters layered over those classic sprites. Ugh.
I don't know why they keep
thankfully they updated it.
They keep doing that shit. It's like, bruh, some of us like our crispy pixels.
Yep. But thankfully they learned from the feedback, and then they updated it, and now you can just pick the old style and do that, and that's perfectly fine.
Nice.
And that's definitely one that I'm also gonna be playing on the deck as time goes on, and definitely gonna do another playthrough on that, because the last time I really played through it has been quite a while.
About to say, I think I remember when you did play through it, and that was that was years and years ago, buddy. That was
it's been quite a few years.
You are owed a Chrono Trigger playthrough, sir. You're in debt. All right. Another one I picked. This is actually one me and my brother played the fuck out of. So we didn't really play a lot of Square. There aren't a lot of Square games you could play together, but this is one that me and my brother rented the shit out of. Like, I would say on average with like Final Fantasy IX. And I know I've told you that story, that me and my brother rented Final Fantasy IX enough to basically almost beat the game. By the time we bought the game,
yeah.
By the time we owned it, we could have just bought the fucker. Like, it would have just been easier just to buy it. Jennifer will be very happy if she ever sees this to know I mentioned this game. And that is none other than Legend of Mana.
Ah, yes.
For the PS1. You know, here's the thing that like I love and I hate about this game. I love this game. The problem is not a lot of other Mana games that came out after this one really ever met my bar for what I wanted out of a Mana game. They didn't. This was like the shining achievement for me, and then every other Mana game I tried just never really did it for me. You know what I mean? Like, I played this one, and
was this the first Mana game that you played?
Yes, this was the very first Mana game I ever played.
Yeah, that makes sense, because from what I know, this one is also radically different to every other game.
Yeah.
The one that came before and the ones that came after, so that's no surprise.
Yeah. Turns out my taste in Mana games was drastically changed by me playing the one oddball Mana title in the entirety of the franchise.
Yeah, that essentially corrupted you instantly.
Yeah, there's a lot I really do love about this game. I don't even know where to start. One, the combat's really fun. Two, you have this game where you're like literally placing down objects onto the map and they're creating places that you go to as you unlock them. You have multiple characters you can have as secondary members, and they all have their own storylines that you can kind of participate in. Which is interesting because they also contribute to you adding points on the map of places that you'll go to do stuff for them, which you can also revisit. And apparently the game also has like the optimal place to place things, because I guess there's something you unlock if you place everything on the map in the optimal location. Did not realize that till I was much older. That just over my fucking head.
If the game doesn't mention it, it's probably hardly anyone knew that, and then they just discovered it by accident.
I wouldn't say this
if
is
at all.
I wouldn't call it a hard game, because I don't think it is, especially once you get good at like there's like battle mechanics that like you could get through the game and never use. There's like super and ultimate attacks.
Probably more complex, not hard.
Yeah. There's like a bunch of mechanics in this game that you could like play like most of the game and like never use. Like stuff that like me and my brother just never figured out. Then I go back and play it now and I'm like, damn, this game is easy. Yo! I'm obliterating everybody. Holy shit. But yeah, Legend of Mana, the oddball in the franchise. And the only Mana game I ever dedicated any significant amount of time to. Turns out it's ruined my taste in games of this franchise, because not a single other one ever met my apparently weird standard. None of them. I've tried so many of them, and they all never really hit that mark for me. So I always come back to this one. This is the one I spent all that time with as a kid.
Yeah, still have to play this one. I'm gonna have a look at it through the remaster on Steam.
You know, I guess I'll do this one, because this is another one that like I played this. I didn't play this one till later because it's another SNES game, but I didn't think I'd like it nearly as much as I did. And that is a little title by the name of Super Mario RPG.
Ah, yes.
You know, I never thought you could give the Mario characters personalities. That just never dawned on me. But they did. Every one of these characters has a personality. Like, Mario's a braggart and like a cocky douchebag. You know, Princess Peach is a completely put upon, spoiled spoiled queen/princess. And Bowser is... I don't know how to describe him because, like, you could tell that, like, all these years of getting stomped on by Mario's really fucked this poor man up. His relationship with Mario is not healthy. He does not have a healthy back and forth with Mario. And when they have to work...
What a surprise.
When they have to work together, it is not pleasant for him. He is not 100% in it to work with Mario. That's not what he's here for, you know? Like, you can't blame the guy. Like, the guy's had a rough life, man.
Definitely not.
You know, and I say he's had a rough life, but realistically speaking, his life has consisted of kidnapping Princess Peach, taking over the Toadstool Kingdom, and then getting the shit kicked out of him by Mario. Like,
I mean,
kind
of karma. So
5-6 consecutive times.
I
mean,
the 3 Mario games and the world came before this game, I think. So yeah.
He's had it rough.
That's been enough there.
Yeah, he's had it rough. It's not been. It's not been. Oh,
he kind of put himself into that position.
And because this game was done by Square, but it wasn't inherently a Square game because it was more of what you would think of the Mario RPG. They did include an Easter egg to Final Fantasy in it because there's a special boss called Colex. And what makes he is so Final Fantasy it hurts because his boss music is the boss theme from Final Fantasy IV.
Oh, okay.
His boss theme in this game is the boss theme from Final Fantasy IV. And when I first heard that, I was like, okay, yo.
So we're doing that.
Okay, you got my attention. Thank you. All right. Yeah, I'm feeling this. And then he curb stomped the shit out of me. So I was like, well, all right, fair enough. You got me. You got me.
Yeah. I do have to
I would say play it.
Do a legit playthrough with that one. I did look into it a bit at the time, but
if you've ever played like the GBA Mario RPGs, then you'd probably like this one, or even Paper Mario, for that matter. In the paper, you ever played any of those either?
Played neither.
Oh, well, yeah, definitely give it a shot. You might like it.
But yeah, I did play this one a bit for a few hours, I think, at the time. So yeah, definitely gonna return to this one.
You know, I wanted. See, I picked this one up, and I feel bad I picked this one up because this is so obvious. So I'm not going to show you this one. That one's obvious. If I showed you that one, that one's very obvious as far as a Square game. You would not be surprised if I showed you that one.
All right.
At all, it wouldn't be surprising. We said Square Soft. I was going mostly for Square Soft games, not Square Enix games. Surprisingly enough,
I think we can go for Square Enix and Square Enix.
Okay, so I can pick either. I can pick from either.
I'd say so.
Well, damn, that fucks me up then. You know what? I'm gonna say Tactics Advance for the GBA. That game.
That's a good one.
That game has. People tend to rag on its story, which I don't quite understand why people don't like the story. And I'm gonna spoil a little bit. I'm gonna spoil it a little bit, but I feel like understanding why I like this game for its story is important. If I spoil this, it's very important. So you play as a kid named Marsh, right? He is a brother who is handicapped. He spends most of his life in a wheelchair. Marsh is new at school. He meets a couple of kids. They get into a snowball fight. One of the kids he hangs around with gets bullied a lot. And during the snowball fight, they throw a snowball that has a rock in it at this poor kid. So fast forward, all these kids get brought to Ivalice, like the actual Ivalice, like the real storybook Ivalice, where like battles and bangas and magic and Vieira and all that shit. So one of the things that made me like go from like being iffy about this game to not being so iffy was a moment that happened later. So you find your brother in Evilise, this magical version of Evilise, and he can walk. He's not handicapped anymore. He can walk. He can run. So Marsh's journey is trying to get back home. He wants to reverse this change to the world. He wants Evilise to go back.
I'm guessing his brother isn't so motivated to going back.
Yeah, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And I think it hit harder because I have a brother. He's not handicapped, but I do have a brother. But I'm like, it was this thing of like, his brother makes a very heartfelt point, and that is, I can walk. I can run. I'm not tied down to a chair. He goes, why would I possibly want to go back to that? And as a sibling, all I could think to myself was, if my brother was in that situation, and that's what he hits me with, I'd be like, well, I guess we staying. I guess we staying. That's it. I guess we ain't going home. Conversation over. Got nothing else to say. That's a very strong argument to be made. Now, at the end of the day, he does convince his brother to go back, and his brother turns out better for it, but I had a hard time necessarily agreeing, right? Because Marsh goes with the argument of this isn't real, right? This world that we're in is not real. We should go back to the real world because we're just running away from our problems by being here. Which, okay, fine, I guess.
Would always depend on what the situation in the real world is, obviously.
Right. Yeah. The girl that's with you, Ritz. So when you meet her in the real world, she has like reddish hair or whatever, right? A little odd. But you come to find out later on, especially when she gets to Evilise, is that her hair is not naturally red. She dyes her hair because her hair is naturally gray or like grayish silver. It's like gray. She looks like she has like old lady hair. But she gets made.
So
she gets
how old is she, or how young?
Like a teenager. She is like.
Okay.
She gets made fun of for her hair, so her mom has her dye her hair so she doesn't get made fun of. Well, at the end, towards the end of the game, before Evilise gets turned back, her best friend in that world is a Vieira, and she tells her Vieira friend that like, well, in my world, my actual hair color is like silver or like white. And the Vieira is like, what are you talking about? Why would you ever change that? For in the Vieira culture, that's considered a blessing from the gods to have that color hair. Right? She finds it out at the end. So when she ends up coming back to the real world, she's no longer ashamed of her hair. Right? All these characters go through an arc like that. My thing is they lead with Marsh's brother and then end with that one. And Marsh's brother, you can relate, right? You can at least understand where he's coming from. Like, okay, I get it. You don't want to be stuck in a wheelchair. I don't have as much sympathy for a chick who has to dye her hair. I'm sorry. I don't have that kind of. It doesn't hit me the same way.
I mean,
bullying is a bitch.
Of course. I mean, it's
bullying is a bitch.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I'm not gonna. I got bullied in school. I'm not gonna sit here and say suck it up. I get it. Like.
The thing is, did she not want to return as well?
No, she actively fights you. Like you're.
Oh, okay. So she absolutely does not want to go back.
No, she actively. Oh. You actively have actual encounters with her and her squad. They actively jump you multiple times in the game to stop you from turning the world back. Your brother just sabotages you. He won't fight you though. She, on the other hand, has no problem with almost killing you to stop you.
Okay, yeah, then that makes more. Okay, then makes more sense why you wouldn't have sympathy for her. Yeah, that's
like.
But I mean, obviously, you're just a friend or acquaintance to her,
basically.
So
Yeah, she.
Yeah, but still, that seems like a bit of an extreme reaction there.
Yeah, no, she finds out that you want to turn the world back, and she tries to convince
Mm-hmm.
you, right? And your character's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Look,
no. Your character's like,
teenagers are not always the most logical
she's like, she tries to
and more
convince you,
emotional.
and
So
your
yeah.
character's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. No, I'm setting things
Uh-huh.
right. And she's like, okay, but I don't want to. He goes, well, I don't care. I'm setting the world
Uh-huh.
right. I want to go home. And then
Uh-huh.
like, she jumps you once, right? And you fend
Hmm.
her off. And then towards the end of the game, she
Uh-huh.
jumps you with like her full squad. She brings like her full ass squad
Ah.
out to fucking 76 your ass. Like she is not playing
Uh,
with you. like there's no
okay,
holds
so
bar. She
she's really against it pretty much until the end.
mm-hmm. And the only
Okay, yeah, that seems rather extreme then. Okay,
yeah, she's
see.
against it till the
Hmm.
end. I don't even think she's with it even
Huh.
after the fact, but
Uh-huh.
because you bested her in battle, she doesn't have much of a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like she can't stop you. Like she openly admits at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the fight, like I can't stop you from going. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it, but
Yeah.
you beat me, so have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, damn, man.
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah,
people
that's
don't like I get why people don't like the game, but I will
Uh-huh.
say it does hit good narrative beats. It's an interesting take on the Tactics franchise, and
Uh-huh.
while I do think the main character is a little bit high on himself for thinking he's doing for telling people that their feelings are based on non-realities,
Huh.
fine. I guess because here's the
Hmm.
thing about Marsh. Despite the fact that he knows
Uh-huh.
what, despite the fact that Marsh knows that he's causing people at least some degree of discomfort from what he's about to do, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
he knows he's gonna put his brother back in a fucking wheelchair. Like,
Mm-hmm.
understand this. He knows that. He knows that he might be subjecting Ritz to being made fun of at school all over again. He gets that. He
Mm-hmm.
does not waver. He does not doubt himself. He stands by his
Mm-hmm.
decision the entire game. He goes, this is wrong. He goes, we're living in a false reality. This is not real. The real world
Uh-huh.
is real. The world that we came from is real. This is not real. Staying here isn't fixing anything. You're just running away
Uh-huh.
from it. We have to go back.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta give the kid
Yeah.
credit. He sticks to his guns the entire game, despite the fact that he knows
Yeah.
he's
I mean,
causing people actual, genuine discomfort by doing so. You don't really
yeah.
see that. He
I mean,
doesn't.
sometimes you can't really, you can't do things without it at times.
Mm, But the thing they
Mm-hmm.
don't address one thing. So you have like there's
Uh-huh.
characters that you meet throughout your time in Evilise that like are like your good friends, but they're from that magical version of Evilise. And
Uh-huh.
Mont Blanc, the Moogle you meet at the start of the game, who's like your companion,
Uh-huh.
and in short, they have a conversation about that, right? Because Mont Blanc's like, "Hey, so you want to go home, right?" He's like, "Yeah."
Uh-huh.
He goes, "Okay, but like, what happens here?" like,
Hmm.
like Mont Blanc's like, "Okay, but like, do you leave or does this world disappear?" And Marsh is like,
I don't know.
I don't know. I have no idea. And he's like, are you sure about this though? And Marsh is like, I want to go home. Like, I hope nothing bad happens to you guys, but this isn't my home. I want to go back to my parents. I don't want to live here the rest of my life. It's just I like games that can acknowledge the
Yeah,
mechanics
it's
of the
the
universe that they
ambivalence of how the world came to be and what happens afterwards. Yeah, it's nice that they put that
acknowledge
in
it.
there.
They
Yeah.
acknowledge that Marsh has no idea what's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen to these people once he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what?
Because I mean, if they came to be because he entered the world, then they haven't been there for long. So,
Yeah, he doesn't know. He all these
yeah.
characters act like they've been here forever. They all act like they've always been here. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's people who have businesses and run shops, and they've been in business all this time, and they have lives and things to do, and he doesn't know. He's hoping that when he hits the off switch on this adventure, that they all don't die a terrible fate. Like, you don't know.
The thing is, are quite a few. So other characters are also based essentially on characters from the original world.
A few of them, not all of them. The assumption,
as far as you know,
there's
at
a
least.
few. Yeah.
Okay,
your character isn't 100% sure whether or not all these people he meets in Evilise are different people or just altered versions of people that are in town that he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's not 100% sure.
Do they show if the main characters remember that time in that world?
What do you mean? Like after? Like at the end of the game? Yeah.
Yeah.
They all know.
After they return.
Yeah. They remember.
Because in theory, if those characters are essentially based on characters from that world, they might just have returned.
Yeah, maybe.
And also remember that time, which is interesting. If it's something like that it's essentially just a short switch into the other one and then going back.
It's very
in theory, but
it's a very early Ni no Kuni kind of idea.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah,
it's a
kind
very
of.
early
Kind of.
conceptual idea for what Ni no Kuni ended up being.
Yeah.
Ni no Kuni,
Similar but different.
Ni no Kuni took it way further though, because I still stand by finding out that the main character also has an alternate version of himself in that world, which I just never considered. I don't know why that never crossed my mind. I was like, wait a minute, you're oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. And the part with the mother, that was also
that hurt.
Whoops.
That action that hurt. That was not appropriate. I feel like the game went too far just telling me that like my entire quest was kind of pointless.
Yeah, kind of but not. Kind of but also not. Yeah.
Kind of pointless. You know what? I'm gonna show you what this other game I picked was. I wasn't gonna say it because I felt like you would already know what it was. I don't think you'd have to guess very hard. Like, I don't think you'd have to guess very hard. I really don't. Like, the fact that you're thinking about it tells me you're thinking too hard.
Just show it then. Yep.
I told you, the fact that you were thinking about it tells me you were thinking way too damn hard. To be fair, the reason I picked this one is this is the first Final Fantasy game I ever played. This is it. This is
that was the first one. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's pretty obvious since you didn't have an SNES, so yeah, obviously it would be.
Yeah. The way I experienced it, I didn't initially play the PS1 version. My dad had a demo disc for PC, and it had a demo version of 7 for PC, and then that's where I initially saw the game.
Okay.
But then...
So you first played it on PC as the demo, and then... Was the demo playable, or was that just some
it was playable.
video material?
Yeah, it was playable.
Okay.
They picked a weird spot to have the demo, though. Like, it was a really weird spot. Looking back, it makes sense, because it's just like one giant gameplay section that they could just make a really nice vertical slice out of the game for. But it was still a weird section to pick. But
Was it from the earlier parts, or was it somewhere in the middle?
It was still like... It was like halfway through disc 1. Partway through disc 1. It was a good... So I played that, and then my buddy came over one night and let me play his copy. I saved down my memory card, and then like a month later, I managed to finally buy my copy, at which point I no longer needed him. He was no longer necessary. This, unfortunately, is not my original. Nice. This is not my original copy. My original copy was lost because my brother kept leaving it out on the floor, and it got scratched up.
Oh, yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, this is a copy I bought much later in life, which is actually a better copy because it's Black Label, which doesn't mean much these days.
Uh-huh.
Because turns out the people's perceptions on which version of the game was worth more was based on not fact and just based on opinion. Well, like, so,
imagine that.
Yeah, so there was this long-standing belief that a Black Label PS1 game was worth more than a Greatest Hits version. The logic behind that was because it's Black Label, I guess. I don't know why they had those beliefs, especially when if you're gonna base the value of a game, you'd base it mostly on like its print, right? Like how many copies did it print? And in many cases, the Greatest Hits version of the game was printed less. In many cases, the Greatest Hits version of a game was actually printed less than the Black Label. But there is one reason why people like the Black Label version. I'm going to show you really quickly. So the Black Label copies oftentimes had art on the disc themselves. This is a bad example. I'm going to grab a disc. I'm going to grab one that actually has art on it to make my point, because this one does not do a very good job at illustrating that. I think it's this one. He says as he walks over to his shelf. This is I don't know if this will show on the camera well. I'll try to get it to show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Noticeable.
So, yeah.
Nice.
So
neat.
The Greatest Hits version did not have that. They were just plain discs. They were white discs, but they didn't have the artwork on them. The regular Black Label ones did have the art. So there's the only difference. Do I think that only difference really equated to like the $30 to $50 to $60 price difference you paid for the game back in like 2008? No, I don't.
Imagine that.
When I started YouTube back in 2008, a Black Label copy of Final Fantasy VII was selling on average for $100.
Okay.
On average, $100. Now keep in mind, 2008 was before the digital boom happened, where like these games were suddenly released on PSN. You could get them for like $5 to $10 a piece. Then they all dropped. Every fucking one of them. They all dropped. They dropped dramatically. Yeah. Like
just off a cliff.
Oh my god. Like I would hate to be a speculator. I feel like I would hate to be a speculator because you just got boned. Like like, say what you will, well, I don't necessarily think that digital copies hurt the value all the time. I don't think they do. Not all the time. Sometimes they do, but, you know, it depends on a lot of variables. These games got hurt by the digital boom, but, you know, it's like Earthbound didn't really get hurt by it. Suikoden, overall, only became more expensive despite the fact that it was available for like $5 to $10 on PSN. Like, it only got more expensive. So obviously it's not consistent. Like, it's far from consistent. You know, Earthbound may not have gone up in price, but it stayed relatively the same despite the fact that you could buy it on a console no one wanted and on on a new 3DS. So, you know,
that's interesting.
The joys of being on the Wii U, I suppose. If you want to call it a joy, I depends on your feelings towards. Did you ever actually own a Wii U? I never.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Oh.
Mainly for Xenoblade Chronicles X.
You know what? Valid. Totally valid. It's surprising we have not seen that get re-released yet. Honestly, that's amazing.
Although, having had another look at what the interface looked like, it's not all that surprising.
Was it?
Because man, there was a lot on that screen.
Have you seen?
And I mean a lot.
Have you seen a lot of the memes about like how Xenoblade Chronicles 2's interface was just loaded with shit on it?
Because it's no comparison to X.
Oh, is it really?
X
it's
has
worse?
way more.
It's worse.
Way more.
Wow.
Yeah, and especially small text.
Oh,
which,
no.
If you would shrink that down to the Switch screen on the handheld,
yikes!
No way you're gonna read that. No way.
It would take a
They would have
massive-
to revamp the whole interface for that to be viable. So it's not that big of a surprise that it isn't out in a remastered or something like that version.
And that's
They'd have to put in major effort.
And that's why we still haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm looking forward to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Like, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that looked interesting.
But, like, God.
I still need to play the others.
Like, play 1. Look, man, I'm going to be real with you. Here's my thing about 2.
Mm-hmm.
If you like anime...
I've put in quite a few hours into 2, but I just need to either continue or restart. I'm not sure.
Okay, never mind then.
I definitely don't have a problem with anime.
Okay, because apparently,
but I know what you mean.
Yeah, if you don't like anime, don't play it. You're not gonna like it. You're gonna hate it. It's not. There's no. You can't separate that. I think Xenoblade Chronicles 1...
I've seen people's reactions to the main character designs, especially Pyrrha and Mithra.
People are weird. I don't understand that criticism. That's so weird to me. Like, they have bodies.
Ooh, oh no.
Really?
The horror.
Okay. Congratulations. Congratulations. You're afraid of bodies. Any closing statements? Searing social comments you'd like to make before we end this episode? Anything you want to blow?
Just quickly add a few entries to the list of titles that you mentioned, because while I haven't been on the console trip for a long time, there have been a few titles that I had a look into over the time, but mainly on the Enix side.
Oh,
like
I'm listening.
ActRaiser, Evo, little bit of Seventh Saga, but not that much because, oh my god, that's a grinder. Illusion of Gaia, and really quite a nice one. I completed Terranigma not that long ago, finally. That's a really nice game. Although, obviously, many of those on the Enix side weren't made by Enix, but just published by them. Obviously, with Dragon Quest titles, as we've seen, that's mainly the case as well.
Did not know that. Did not know that until you told me. Did not know that.
That's not in the minds of many, I think. Because many just think, Dragon Quest, that's made by Square. Definitely. But many of the titles, especially the first few, were made by Chunsoft, and then Level 5 also had a hand in a few of them. I think they did the DS one, and they did, I think, 8. Although I'm not sure with 8, but yeah, several different developers had their hands there. But other titles, let me think. Well, Evo is a really interesting one. Not made by them either, but published by Enix. I have to say, Enix had quite a few interesting titles in their publishing catalog.
Was Enix especially just a publisher then?
I think they mainly published. I'm not sure. Have they? At least in the first years, I don't see really any developed by them directly.
I mean, I could see why I thought they made Dragon Quest. I understand why I thought that, considering when I boot up Dragon Quest 3, their name is the first thing that comes up. So I can see why I thought that.
And depends. Back in the day, did Chunsoft even come up on the logos? That's the thing. Oftentimes, I think developers didn't exactly get credit or didn't have their logos there. I think back then, especially, that was often the case, that publishers didn't really want the individuals listed, at least oftentimes. And quite a few times it was that they had some alias or something in the game, if that. with a lot of games, but depends.
You're right.
hmm I also noticed that with, for example, one of the games that I recently replayed, Tasmania from the Game Gear, there was only one name associated with it, which was I think the producer from Sega, and the other positions were all just named as the developer and not specific people.
Really?
Yeah, that was just graphics by the team. I don't quite remember the name offhand, but it was just graphics team, sound team, um, design, I think, team, and then just one of the entries was the name of the Sega guy,
Okay.
which is, yeah,
So
interesting.
humor me.
Mm-hmm.
Humor me here for a second. As crazy as this is going to sound, what's the
Yeah.
chances that what's the chances that that was just a convenience thing and not we just don't want to list out a bunch of people?
I don't know. I think back then the teams weren't that big yet, especially in that time. I think I think oftentimes the publishers didn't really want the names out, but at that time it was probably a mixture. Some wanted it, some didn't. But I do know that at the time with Atari, they Atari didn't want that at the time of the 2600 and onwards.
I've heard
That's
about
why
that.
some of the developers went on to form their own companies and with focus on more of the developers. Surprisingly, if ironically, if you think about it, Activision and EA both started out that way. They put major
Hmm.
emphasis on the developer individuals. So you had games where you actually had the names of them, had sometimes even pictures of the main designers and the like, main heads behind them. So it's funny how things change over time.
Yeah. Yeah. My first thing isn't to instantly jump to malice. That's my problem. So like
hmm
my first instinct isn't necessarily to assume bad
Yeah.
intentions if I don't have to. So I'm just kind of wondering
hmm
maybe that was
Yeah,
just
I'm not
like
sure if it was malice. It might just have been their way of thinking that they
yeah, like
wanted mainly the company name in front and not focus on the individuals. The reason could be varied.
yeah. But I mean, company name or not, credit is still like credit. The
Yeah.
company worked on it. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to be handed a pat in the back personally, but at the end of the day, like,
hmm Yeah, and I think a lot of it was also that back then these things were treated more like products and like less like art than nowadays.
ah,
Less like a creative product, but more like a general product for consumption. I think that was also a big reason for it.
yeah, that'll do it. That'll
hmm
that'll do it. The notion of video games are art didn't really start to catch on
That was
until
much
like
later on.
yeah, like 2000s.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah. And
thanks.
even back then the transition to focusing on the individuals wasn't less of a art thing, but more of a we want to credit these people because we want the or the name recognition and give them credit for their work. More
Do
that
you?
and less the art part.
But do you? All right, but like,
Uh-huh.
hear me out. Like,
Uh-huh.
now I'm not a history buff, right? But like, movies have been doing this.
Yeah, but movies have been recognized as art for a long time,
Okay,
even back
so
then.
all right,
So
so
that they've been far more ahead of
all
that.
right, so the point you're trying to make is because it was viewed closer to art, there is a lot more personal recognition that would come
hmm
with being involved in an art
Yeah,
project
for
versus
one, the art part, and you actually see the people.
right,
With games, you don't have any visible affiliation to that. You just
right,
have the digital picture of whatever art they put in the game.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
There's no
it's
real
like
connection there.
you might know the name of the dude who came up with the landscape.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who the fucking guy. I wouldn't know the guy in a fucking crowd. Like,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, all right, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Fair enough.
Yeah, that only came about later on with people like Richard Garriott and the like, when they actually had those people recognizable, because that was just their way of thinking back then. It wasn't much of an art thing even back then. I think was more like a, well, for one, it motivates the people that they have their name on there and they have the credit to their work, which is I think quite significant, since you'd notice back then that many people went away from Atari because of the games being more like a what would you call it, uh well, not a sweatshop, but yeah, not as bad as a sweatshop, but it was just like a product that you put together, push out the door, and
Yeah, assembly
yeah,
line.
assembly line, exactly. Yeah, just much more like an assembly line product and less like a creative work.
Yeah,
Even if it's not art, there is still creativity in there,
yeah.
and
Cause
yeah.
like, let's be real for a second, right? When you think of like fucking Windows or like
Mm-hmm.
software, you don't usually know the names
Yeah.
of the people who you might know like the name of like the head of the fucking company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you
Yeah.
know that motherfucker, but you don't know about the dude who sat
Mm-hmm.
in his office for the last fucking 2 years coding most of this shit out. You don't know that guy. He doesn't fucking
Yeah, exactly.
his name's not anywhere. You don't know his fucking name unless he like I don't know sues the
Mm-hmm.
company because he didn't get paid. Now you know who he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. And with all the games back then with the Atari 2600, you had no idea who made them, be it the good ones or the bad ones. You had no idea. You just know, oh, okay, that's Atari. They make games. That's it.
So like, how would you pick up and like you decide to go somewhere else? Well, I think back then a lot of it was you made
Mhm.
your own company, wasn't it? It wasn't as much of
Yeah.
like you went somewhere else. You didn't hear that wasn't as much
Yeah.
of a thing. It was
Yeah,
more.
at the time, it was mainly some people from Atari decided to make their own company. And that was, for example, I think Activision was one of the first ones that formed like that.
Yeah.
And then they made their own games for the Atari 2600 with their name recognition on the game and in the game manuals
And plus, it's
and all that.
probably a lot easier to like claim it, right? Like, no, like for real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you work at Atari and you guys crank out a hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like
Yeah.
you put on your resume like I worked at Atari for these years and helped with these games. And they're like, prove it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Like
That I think also plays into it. Yep.
it's like fucking prove it. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you could call this guy.
Yeah. And then anyone at Atari is gonna say, "Huh? No idea. No
Right.
comment."
Yeah, cuz
Click.
you're just one guy in the assembly line. Who the fuck knows who you
Mm-hmm.
are, right? It's like,
Yeah.
Jonathan who? I don't
HR might HR might know you, or the head of the company at the time might know you, or at least the guy ahead of you, your manager or whatever. But yeah, it was much different to a culture back then.
Oh, damn.
Mm.
The more you learn, the more the yeah, I could definitely see why they changed then. Which
Mm-hmm.
makes it all the more ridiculous when you hear about like certain parts of a department not getting credit for games and such in like our time, right? When you hear about like
Mm-hmm.
this
Yeah.
development team didn't get any credit for their work on it or something, it's like, damn.
Nowadays, that's even worse. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I'd be
Because
pissed.
then you look at Ubisoft and they have thousands of credit entries. So it's obviously possible to do it.
Yeah. Like, I'm not like again. You see, that my thing is, like I said, my first thought was like convenience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to, like, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna credit like this massive work staff of people who worked on the game. So
And nowadays, yeah, back then teams were
yeah,
far smaller,
right. It's
so it
much
wouldn't
smaller
be
teams.
that much of
So
a deal.
but like these days, it's like you're crediting like
Mm-hmm.
massive groups of people, not to mention like animation staff, art,
Mm-hmm.
fucking the rigging and shit. Like that's
Yep.
hundreds of people.
Sound guys, coders, designers. Depending on the games, you have multiple teams working on it, like
So
with the Assassin's Creed games. So yeah, you have thousands of entries there. So
I mean, I guess you can just scroll through the shit really fast, right? Like, have the credits just fucking whiz by 200 miles an hour. Done.
yeah,
20.
fast forward like with Spaceballs.
Yeah, done. 20. Done. Entire credit roll done in like 15 fucking seconds. You gotta slow that shit down 255% just to even find your name on the damn list. Every game now has an instruction manual, except it's a prank. It's not an instruction manual. It's the entire list of everybody who's worked on the game. 275 pages. Your game can't even shut fully because the thing is like this. It's incredible.
It's like you have a double-sized DVD DVD case, and then you open it up. It's just one DVD and the book with the credits.
Yeah, it's the book with the. Actually, even better. The game ends and it says open credits book, and then cuts to the post credit scene, and then you open the credits book, and you're just flipping through that bitch. 275 pages of every single person who's worked on this game.
I don't know how it is over there with you, but did you have phone books back then?
Yes, we still do.
Like getting them by mail every half a year, don't know.
You
what
have
it
to
was.
opt if you want a phone book these days. You have to opt into it. It's
Yeah,
no longer
nowadays definitely, but back then I
Yeah.
think it was pretty much yearly. You get a new one or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's with some games it will probably be something like that. Yeah, here's your credits.
Yeah, here's your credits. It's like, and then you get into like the issue that we've run into more and more. It's like, do you really expect anyone to read this? What? It's like the terms of service. It's like terms of service on video games. It's like
everyone reads those. What do you mean?
Yeah, like it's like the terms of service. It's like, yes, we all agree to it, right? But we're agreeing to it because you're literally holding the thing I just paid hostage. Like,
yeah, essentially.
like,
yeah.
Like, you're not holding a gun to my head.
Most of the time you just trust them. Yeah, you just trust them to not fuck with you.
Yeah, you're not holding, like, I had to
accept. That's fine.
You have to accept a terms of service to play Ni no Kuni on Switch. I don't know if it has the same thing on PS4 or not, but on Switch you have to agree to a terms of service.
Probably.
And that blew my fucking mind. I'm like, what? I have to agree to a terms of service? For what?
I kind of wonder why with that game.
Terms of service. Like with like online games, I can kind of get if you're playing it online. Like, okay, fine. As dumb as weird as it is.
Once you go into the online part, the multiplayer part, and then you accept that, and then okay. But with Ni no Kuni, does that have anything that would warrant it?
No, it doesn't.
Wonder.
It really outside of like some stuff that's already built into the game, but there's nothing in there that would warrant that kind of stupidity.
Yeah.
Just saying. Goodness. This is the world we live in. This is it. We signed up for this. I'm gonna go on a limb and say next week, everybody, I may or may not be bringing the topic about companies buying each other out, because there's a reason why we talked about Square, and we'll get into it next week, because Square is gonna come up. This is going to lead into a much larger conversation about Square. Definitely. Anyways, everybody, as always, you can find us on YouTube at Turn-Based Cynics. You can also find us on our Twitter page where we post updates every single week. And we are also available for all you audio listeners on Apple Cast, Google Cast, and Spotify, and a few others of your choice if you decide to listen to us there. And as always, everybody, have a fantastic week. We'll see you all later.
All right. Yep.